Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are exploring something absolutely fascinating, the second brain, also known as the enteric nervous system. We're going to dive way past the basic mechanics of digestion to uncover a hidden, incredibly complex neural universe right inside of you, a system that actively dictates your mood, your overall health, and really, your daily life.
So, we all know what it means to have a gut feeling, right? Or getting those nervous butterflies right before a big presentation. But what if I told you there is actual, literal, biological truth to these everyday phrases? It turns out your gut isn't just reacting to your emotions, it's actively participating in them.
For the longest time, the digestive tract was just viewed as this passive tube. Basically a biological plumbing system that processes your food, absorbs some nutrients, and just moves the rest on out. But we really need to shatter that myth right now because it is entirely outdated. Your digestive tract actually contains its very own remarkably sophisticated nervous system called the enteric nervous system, or ENS. And the craziest part, the ENS can sense, process, and respond to information entirely on its own.
And this brilliantly illustrates why scientists have given the enteric nervous system a rather powerful nickname, the second brain. I mean, it's not just a cute metaphor. Unlike most other organs in your body that constantly have to wait around for top-down instructions from your actual brain or spinal cord, your gut operates with a stunning level of independence. It essentially has a mind of its own. It can make on-the-fly decisions about digestion locally without ever needing to check in with headquarters up top. Now, to truly grasp the sheer scale of the second brain, we have to look at the numbers. 500 million. Your gut contains roughly 500 million neurons. To put that massive number into perspective, that is actually more neurons than your entire spinal cord contains. Literally. And these neurons aren't just bunched up in one little spot either. They're intricately woven throughout the entire lining of your digestive tract, starting all the way up at your esophagus and extending all the way down to your rectum. It is just this vast, complex web of intelligence. Okay, let's dive into this and look at how this incredible system is actually put together. The enteric nervous system is organized into two distinct, highly specialized neural networks. First up, we have the myenteric plexus. This sits right between the layers of muscle in your gut wall, and you can think of it as the movement coordinator. It controls peristalsis, which are those wave-like muscle contractions that push your food along, and it dictates the overall speed of your digestion. Then, sitting closer to the inner lining of the intestines, we have the submucosal plexus. This acts as the internal functions manager. It handles all the behind-the-scenes stuff like enzyme secretion, regulating blood flow, absorbing nutrients, and even talking directly to your immune system. And if we look at how this is built at the microscopic level, the gut operates using this beautiful, seamless 1-2-3 flow of communication between three types of neurons. Step 1, you have the sensory neurons. These are the gut's monitoring system. They are always listening. They constantly detect stretch, pressure, the presence of specific nutrients, or even inflammation. Step 2, the interneurons. Think of these as the communication hubs. They take that sensory data, process it in real time, and coordinate a highly organized response. Finally, step 3, the motor neurons. Once the plan is set, the motor neurons spring into action, telling the gut muscles exactly when to contract, when to relax, or when to push that food forward. But hey, the neurons don't do all this heavy lifting by themselves. The enteric nervous system also features what we can totally call the support crew, the enteric glial cells. These cells are fascinating because they don't actually transmit the electrical signals themselves. Instead, they work tirelessly behind the scenes to support the neurons that do. They protect your neurons from damage, they actively reduce inflammation, and they maintain the absolutely crucial physical barrier of your gut lining. Without this dedicated support crew, the entire neural network of the gut would just collapse. Now get ready for a massive aha moment. We usually associate serotonin, the famous feel-good chemical, strictly with our brain. But guess what? Approximately 90% of your body's serotonin is produced directly in your gut, not in your head. Gut-produced serotonin plays a huge role in regulating how fast your gut moves, signaling mood states, influencing how you perceive pain, and even managing nausea. When we talk about the gut-brain connection affecting our mood, this vast reservoir of serotonin is basically the main character in that story. And it definitely doesn't stop with serotonin. The gut is essentially its own built-in chemistry lab, mixing up a whole host of chemical messengers. It produces GABA, which is this calming neurotransmitter that helps relax the gut. It creates its own supply of dopamine. Now, we usually think of dopamine as the reward chemical in the brain, but down in the gut, it's totally vital for movement and digestive regulation. And it even synthesizes acetylcholine, which is incredibly important for triggering gut contractions and supporting your rest and digest nervous system activity. Your gut is literally talking to itself using the exact same chemical vocabulary as your brain.
However, because this whole system is just so finely tuned and complex, things can sometimes become dysregulated. And I really want to slow down here for a second, because for anyone tuning in who suffers from conditions like irritable bowel syndrome or IBS, this is deeply validating to hear. These conditions often involve something called visceral hypersensitivity. This simply means the gut neurons become over-responsive to completely normal stimuli. Clinically speaking, what happens is that the nervous system begins interpreting ordinary, everyday digestive sensations as active threat signals.
So the crucial point is this: the gut itself is not physically broken. Normal levels of gas, standard digestive movement, or a slight pressure that most people would never even notice in a million years suddenly become registered by the brain as intense pain, urgency, cramping, or bloating. The hardware is fine. It's the software that has learned to misread its own signals. It is fundamentally a nervous system misfire. Understanding this is a real game changer because it explains why working to calm the nervous system rather than just treating the gut as a piece of faulty plumbing makes profound clinical sense for so many people.
All right. So far, we've been looking at all this microscopic magic happening right there in the digestive tract. But let's zoom out for a second, because while the second brain is highly independent, it definitely doesn't operate in total isolation. There is a master connection that links your two brains together, making sure they are always in sync. These two brains are in constant, incredibly fast, two-way communication through four main pathways. And together, these form what scientists call the gut-brain axis. First, there's the vagus nerve, which is essentially the primary super-fast, direct neural highway linking the gut and the brain. Then, you have hormones circulating back and forth through your bloodstream. Third, there's immune signaling, where the gut's immune cells send out rapid alerts to the nervous system. And finally, the microbiome itself. The trillions of bacteria living right there in your digestive tract actively influence neural activity. It is just a constant, vibrant four-lane dialogue going on all day, every day. Because of this intense, constant communication across the gut-brain axis, your lived experiences have a direct physical impact on your body. Stress, trauma, anxiety, chronic hypervigilance, they all directly influence how those gut neurons fire and how they interpret sensation. This right here is the biological reason why psychological and emotional experiences do not just stay in your head. They travel down the vagus nerve, they alter your hormones, and they are quite literally felt in your gut. Your emotional distress physically becomes your digestive distress. So as we've seen today, the gut is far, far from a simple passive tube. It's a complex, incredibly sensitive, highly intelligent second brain. It produces its own neurotransmitters, it manages its own complex movements, and it talks constantly with the brain in your head. When we actually learn to listen to it and respect its deeply integrated role in our nervous system, we unlock a much deeper understanding of our overall health and well-being. So I want to leave you with this final thought to reflect on. What is your gut trying to tell you today? Thank you so much for joining us for this explainer, and we will catch you next time.